Hey folks, this is Billy DKY, the truth seeker that simplifies and demystifies. Today we're going to be talking about the real solution, and we'll be going through this article and I'll commentate as I go along. So let's just get started. The real solution is changing yourself. You may not realize that the problems that you're having are related to you and not really so much with the outside world. However, that is the case, and what you'll find is most people, what they want to do when they encounter a problem is they want to change the world to suit them. But what they really need to do is change themselves so the world doesn't really bother them. There's a couple things I like to say. Accept the world as it is and change only yourself. And then another phrase I like to say is the world is perfect. It's you that needs to change. And then somebody else mentioned that the serenity prayer, can't remember exactly how it goes. God help me to... Anyway, you've heard the prayer. If you haven't, go look it up. Anyway, so let's get on with it. So here's what I say. Once you're willing to change yourself, a whole new world of possibilities emerges. Your old stagnant ways of thinking start to break down, and you see the world in a whole new light. Your mind opens and solutions to impossible problems of the past become clear. As long as you're unwilling to change yourself, you've got blockage in your mind for seeing things that you could do. You know what I mean? And the beauty of it is, once you're truly willing to change yourself, it's almost unlimited what you can do and the solutions that that can come from it. And just from personal experience of following my spiritual path, as I've been more willing to change myself, problems of the past that seemed difficult really weren't that difficult once I changed. So the real solution almost everything is changing yourself, and if it's not the end game solution, it's the solution that leads to the other solutions. It's the first thing that must happen before the other solutions happen. Next paragraph. Notice that, okay, that's pretty much what I just said. Notice that the changing yourself is the solution that precedes all other solutions. Also notice that the real solution doesn't just apply to spiritual training within oneself, but everywhere. Relationships, science, religion, politics, global warming, healthcare, etc. Okay, so let's talk about some of those. Basically I learned this through my own spiritual path, realizing that's really what made my life better. That was really the solution to finding, at first I thought it was happiness, but really the end goal is peace, not happiness, because happiness is just an emotion. So what I like to say is, don't go seeking happiness, seek to be less miserable. You can actually be less miserable. You may not be able to be happy. Anyway, so let's talk about relationships. You and your spouse are having troubles, and what's the first thing most people want to do? I want to change her. She needs to change because I'm not changing. I mean, you may not be saying that out loud, but you're thinking, she needs to change, she's doing it wrong, blah, blah, blah. But what you really don't realize, the solution is not change. I mean, you may need to point out to your spouse they're doing something wrong, but the real solution is not changing her. The real solution is you changing yourself. And as you change, she'll automatically change. And what you fail to see is there's things in you that's maybe causing her to act that way. And what you may not see too is when you try to change her, all you're doing is getting resistance and resentment. You're building up walls between yourself. So you're not actually creating a better relationship. You're just setting in motion that relationship failing. So I think that's obvious. Okay, and same with religion. Religion wants to change the world. Oh, go out and preach to everybody in the world. That ain't going to change much. How did all the great men that's ever walked the face of this earth, what did they do? Jesus, what did he do? He went out in the wilderness, or went out to the desert. What did he do? He's focused on changing himself. The Buddha, he went out by himself, sitting under a tree. What was he doing? Changing himself. Lao Tzu, there's not many stories, but it's the same thing. Gandhi, it's the same thing. I mean, it's always the same thing. If you really want to change this world, it's extremely simple. There ain't nothing complicated about it. All that is required is you change yourself. If you have nothing in yourself that you're not willing to change, you will change the world in profound ways. You can make a difference. You just got to be willing to change yourself. It's that simple. Okay, politics. What do politics always do? They want to point out everybody, Democrats wrong, Republicans wrong. Just change yourself. What do politicians do? Politicians tell you what you want to hear. What's that doing? That makes you more self-centered. That's the exact opposite. If whatever a politician is telling you, you probably should be focusing on doing the exact opposite. I think that's enough said on that. Global warming. You know, people want to talk about global warming. And the secret to global warming is, first of all, again, change yourself, not needing a bunch of things. If you don't need a bunch of things, then there's not all kinds of, all kinds of side consequences of the things you're consuming. You know, everybody wants to tell everybody else how to live. You know, why don't you start walking more, ride your bike more? You know, the solution is in you, and by people seeing you lead an example, they'll start changing too. So I mean, the solution is always change yourself. It's not the government coming in and doing things. I mean, occasionally they may need to do it if it's a big corporation that's polluting, but in general, the solution starts in you, and it may lead to tons of other solutions, but you got to be willing to change yourself. Same with healthcare. I mean, if you eat right, your healthcare issues are minimal, so it's the same solution everywhere. So let's go on to the next paragraph so I don't run into 10 minutes. Your unwillingness to face your ego is the only thing standing in your way to change yourself. I don't want to change. That's what keeps you from growing in life. And until you're willing to face that and saying, I need to change, you're never going to make real spiritual progress. And so this is why I always say ego and pleasure are the roots of all problems. So if you're not willing to face pleasure and you're not willing to face ego, you're not going to make any real spiritual progress. If you think you are, it's just going to be in your mind. It's not going to be in reality. Okay, next paragraph. Most people fail because they think the answer is outside of themselves, which I think we've sort of discussed it. The answer is in you. It's you facing you. You know, or your mind, consciousness facing your unconscious, whatever, something like that. The real solution never changes. It never changes. The reason I made this video is because every time I want to seek to change the world, it's like a circle. I want to change the world, then I realize I can't really do this, taking too much effort, and then it always comes back to changing me. I've seen that happen. I cannot tell you how many times. It may be 1,000, maybe 100. It's tons of times, and after you see the pattern enough times, you realize it ain't about changing you. It's about changing me. And also, since that solution never changes, that is why I love profound truth. Once you know it, you really know something. You can build upon this knowledge because it's not relative. Like, you know, people like to say, well, that's your perspective. That's relative to you. No, it's not relative to me. It's been the same pattern through the beginning of time. Just like, you know, when the science discovers something, gravity just doesn't work for me. It works for you the same way as it does for me. Yes, I mean, people like to think everything's relative. It ain't relative. It ain't, you know, some things are. This stuff will be the same 1,000 years from now for every different race or whatever. I mean, just like Lao Tzu, his stuff is still relevant to me 2,500 years from now because it was profound truth. It wasn't based on, you know, the fads of the time. Okay. Even if you know the real solution, it's difficult to apply it. Before you know it, you're in the heat of the moment with your emotions overriding reason. So what happens is you know this stuff and you've done it before, it's happened a couple of times, then you get in, somebody says something that sparks up another ego thing. They've offended me, and you go on this tirade, and before you know it, you know, you're off the path again, and you have to figure out, okay, I have to change me again to learn how to deal with them more effectively. And again, the first solution is you have to change yourself, and then all these other beautiful ways of dealing with these people come about that you didn't even expect because you were in your way. The moment you take your awareness off yourself, you're vulnerable to failure. As our country says, our founding fathers said, the price for freedom is constant vigilance. But they didn't tell you what to be vigilant against. It's not vigilant against the enemy. Your enemy's not outside you. Your enemy's within you. So constant vigilance over your mind or over your spirit to keep watch over yourself. The moment you take your eyes off yourself, you're allowing yourself to fail. You're giving yourself the opportunity to fail. So keep constant vigilance over yourself. If you wouldn't mind, folks, please rate the video and take care.